What's up, Soul Family? Coming at you with another collective reading. This one is going to be on. I got Parrot with Someone Will Gossip About All of Your Secrets. If you're interested in a one-on-one reading, you can do so by directly messaging me or with the link in the bio. The first one's going to be about $35 for up to 20 minutes, and you can ask whatever questions you want, or I can pull cards and simply see what comes out. If it doesn't resonate, then I will simply refund you. That being said, let's jump in. So one of the things that I'm learning, I wouldn't say I'm learning, I've been learning this experience. I guess it's kind of one of the reoccurring themes around humanity, is people just tend to talk, like one way or another. Like if you are amidst or amongst, or however you say it, individuals or groups of people, there's always going to be the energy of maybe your name coming up in some context or people speaking about you, and that's kind of the nature of what it is. But I think it's also very important to be mindful, especially if you are in group dynamics, to be mindful of who you share things with, because you never know what their intentions might be in the long run. Especially if you already have like inklings that they don't have your best intentions, then this would be a confirmation to kind of like cut it off from there. I wouldn't say cut it off, but at least be mindful of what you share from there. So the other cards that came out were, we have Leg with Stepping into a New Experience. We have Marriage. Just dropped one. We have Firecracker with Excitement. And then Wedge. Someone is trying to come between you and a friend or something you want. So I think in general, it's a reading that points towards, while there is the energy of having to be mindful of somebody in your presence who doesn't have the best intentions for you, I think it's also still pointing towards things still working out. And typically speaking, if you have the mindset that things will work out, they have to. Like, reality has to follow your predominant assumption, especially if you stick to it moment by moment and you ground yourself in that. So a lot of times it could be frustrating while you're going through certain experiences, but if you keep the mindset that it will benefit you in the long run, then it simply has to. And I've had the experience of reality showing me in very odd ways that if I'm able to at least sometimes center myself, and even times when I'm not completely centered, that it will surprise me with ways that it's able to remedy situations that I might be going through. And as far as like the energy of somebody coming in between you or something that you want, I think it's always important to be mindful again that sometimes people have hidden agendas, and just because you could be somebody who's open doesn't necessarily mean that you have to share things with everybody. I've learned very early on in my journey to be very careful about what you share with people. And typically speaking, I only try my best to share things with, especially newer individuals, things that I wouldn't mind simply being spoken about, or simply other things that other people would be aware of. I try my best not to, and again, everybody's different, but in my experience, I think it's best to minimize what you do share to prevent anything being used against you in a negative way. And it's not to say that you can't connect to people. It's to say be careful about what you connect with, because we are very complex and deep beings in general. We go through life and we have a lot of layers to us. And I think it's simply important to be mindful about what you reveal, or at least when you reveal certain things within certain relationships. There's nothing wrong with opening up and connecting to individuals, but it's always important to be mindful about how you do such. And if you feel like you overshare to somebody and you feel like it might be used against you, then at least you have the awareness of that now, and you have the ability to work around it. A lot of times when we have warnings in tarot, it's a way for us to circumvent or prevent actual harm from happening before it happens, versus being warned like, okay, this is happening and it's inevitable. Tarot will kind of see trends or see where things are headed. So it's important to be mindful that, yeah, you could have somebody in your energy who isn't the most beneficial for you. So it's important to kind of like cut that connection and cut that flow of energy from now, versus continuing to feed into it unknowingly, basically, and then, unintentionally screwing yourself over in the longer run. And then we have the Queen of Cups. So the Queen of Cups has a lot to do with, and I think this is a recurring thing, whenever you tend to be compassionate or kind-hearted, and I'm not saying that individuals who I'm not saying that people who gossip inherently are not kind-hearted or don't have a higher level of emotional capacity. But what I will say is many times when you are somebody who is very giving or loving or very gentle by nature, somebody who exhibits the control or the energy of somebody who is very nurturing or compassionate, it can be that many times that gets taken advantage of. And it's important to be mindful that not everybody has the mentality that you have when you are interacting with them. Not everybody has the mentality of simply not being shady or doing things behind your back or being manipulative. Many people have very self serving interests. So, with the Queen of Cups, it makes me feel as if we have to be mindful of the reverse side of the Queen of Cups, where we can be a little bit too connected or just a little bit too understanding, a little bit too forgiving, and a little bit too open with our emotions to the point where we are maybe allowing ourselves to be exploited by it. And that's not to say, again, that you're not able to connect with people in a mindful way, but it's to say simply be careful about where you do allow yourself to do such. So a couple more. I'm going to try and keep this one under 10 minutes. I'm going to try at least. Okay, we have my favorite card, the Magician, the Six of Cups, and then the Nine of Pentacles. Look at the Nine of Pentacles. So one way or another, there is a shift heading your way. The other cards that came up were like stepping into excitement, stepping into something new, stepping into new experiences, different experiences. So I think in general, a lot of times when we start to allow ourselves to cut ourselves off from what isn't best for us, then it allows us to step into what is, and that leads to a lot more fulfilling experiences. The Six of Cups does have the energy of like the inner child, and I think many times it's the energy of feeling really joyful. Because I think a lot of times, like whenever I think about how kids are, they're just naturally happy. Like, you know, it's mostly adults who tend to, over time, pick up the weight of our experiences that tend to have issues in enjoying life or being in the moment or simply just experiencing things and not really being able to ground ourselves in whatever we want to in the moment. So I think it's really important to do our best to find things that we genuinely enjoy and experience them to the best of our capacity, because sometimes we can still be doing something we enjoy without being able to, or without being present and grounded in it, so we're not actually able to experience what we're doing, if that makes any sense. Sometimes we can be disconnected from the task that we are experiencing versus actually being present and enjoying it. And then with the Magician and the Nine of Pentacles. So once again, like you're stepping into something new, you're stepping into something, I'm assuming, pretty big, and it must be something that you have built up with your abilities and your skills. And when I think about the Magician and the Nine of Pentacles, they are cards of self-empowerment. They are cards that align with the energy of somebody using their own will, their own intentions, their own focus, their own ability to manifest and create things that they are going to bring into this experience that are going to make them like wealthy or abundant or successful or whatever you want to, coin that as. So again, lean into whatever skills and abilities you do have. Don't underestimate what you offer to individuals, and don't underestimate just how powerful you are as an individual, or well-rounded, and the capacity that you have to morph or turn whatever your ideas or dreams or goals are into reality. These are cards of pulling out the intentions that you have from your mind down into the physical realm and making it something that you're living in, something that you're experiencing, something that you're actually able to enjoy in a very luxurious way many times, whatever that means for you. Some people, luxury means you're going out and, buying, I don't know, like, what do people who like sports buy? Like, I really have no frame of reference. I like buying figurines and perfume and stuff for my hair and earrings and jewelry, but everybody has a different definition of what luxurious is, or whatever abundant is, or whatever they find worth spending their money on. So the Nine of Pentacles is definitely enjoying and living in that. It's like the bad and bougie card. And normally I do a bottom of the deck card, but this time I'm just going to cut it here. So peace and blessings, and I'll catch you in the next reading.